What's going on, guys? Back again with another video here on my YouTube channel. It is October 20th, 2023, otherwise known as International Chef's Day. So, shout out to all those chefs worldwide that are making us some beautiful dishes each and every time we go out to a restaurant. Especially shout out to those ones that are making things such as tiramisu, baked Alaska, the real tough dishes, the stuff you can't make in your own kitchen. Um, you're working your asses off, and I have a lot of respect for you guys as someone that's not very valuable in the kitchen. The things you guys are able to pull off and do for us hungry people out there, it's a big salute to you guys. Um, Not only is it International Chef's Day, we have a couple of interesting birthdays out there. First off, shout out to my boy ASAP Ferg. Happy birthday to him of the ASAP gang. Plain Jane, one of my favorite songs out there. Also, one, two to the three to the four. Happy birthday to the Snoop Double Dog. Yes, sir, Snoop Dogg. It's birthday today. Happy birthday, Snoop. Enjoy that. And a happy birthday to the late Scott Hall, otherwise known as Razor Ramon in the WWE. It was a tough loss to see him pass away last year. One of the more interesting guys we've had in wrestling. And as he always said, bad times don't last, but bad guys do. Shout out to the bad guy, Scott Hall. I hope you have a nice heavenly birthday up there. But with that said, it is time to get rolling into another episode here on the channel. Last night we had a Thursday night football game between the New Orleans Saints and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence ended up playing in that game and played a lot better than I expected. It was the first time in his career he's ever had a knee injury and the first time he's ever played with a knee brace. That didn't slow him down. He ran the ball real well, looked real smooth out there. Not much to complain about on the Jaguars side of things. I guess you could be a little bit upset. Calvin Ridley had a dud of a game, but when you still get the win, you can't really complain about some of those offensive numbers. Meanwhile, for the Saints, another pretty poor game for them. They started finding it a little bit late, but Derek Carr was really bad. A lot of bad throws, a lot of bad decisions. Um, it seems like that Saints offense really doesn't seem to be on the same page for a lot of the time. And without having Alvin Kamara in there, I think they'd be in a lot more trouble than what it looked like on paper that they were. They kind of made it closer than they were, but they had a lot of trips in the red zone that resulted in field goals. Couldn't punch it in the end zone to get points when it mattered. Despite their defense having two or three turnovers, they weren't really able to take advantage of that. And you got to start questioning what it's going to take for the Saints offense to turn around, and if that's going to be, the play of Jameis Winston, who's the backup quarterback down there, or maybe they just need someone new calling the plays. It's going to be interesting to see what's next for the Saints because their defense really is one of the toughest defenses in the league, but it's hard to make that matter when your offense is so putrid, as we've seen several times before in the NFL. The Jets had issues with their offense despite a good defense. Last year's Broncos team very similar. So yeah, overall it was a boring game for about the first three quarters, and the fourth quarter got real spicy. Had a lot of fun watching the game in there as the Saints had a chance to potentially tie it late, send it to overtime. However, Foster Monroe had a pass go right off his hands that would have been a huge touchdown for the Saints. Um, Anyway, moving on from that, we are going on to this weekend's best bets. My personal picks for this weekend in the college football, NFL, and UFC worlds. Last week we struggled a little bit, but as always, water finds its level, and we're going to get right back up there. And we're going to start with a powerhouse, and that's going to be Ohio State. I have them -4.5, and I think this is an interesting pick. I've seen a lot of people seem to be on Penn State. Seems to be the very popular pick to be on Penn State. So I'm going to kind of swerve the popularity and look to go elsewhere and actually take the Ohio State spread. Um, you look at Penn State, this is by far their toughest game they've had this season. They haven't been tested quite the way Ohio State was during that Notre Dame game. And we're going to have to see what Drew Aller can really do in a game of this magnitude, as thus far they've looked good against some less than stellar opponents. Obviously, they played UMass last week, who's one of the worst teams in all of college football. So when you're having coming in from a game like that, I expect there to be a little bit of shock when you see the talent differential between one week to the next. Obviously, these guys are practicing against each other each week, though, so they are getting good reps, but I still favor Ohio State in this one. Better coaching, more experience in the big game, and I just like to sway away from the popular opinion, as that seems the popular opinion usually goes down. Moving on, the next one we have is going to be Oklahoma minus 17 and a half. They play UCF. UCF has really fallen flat over the past 3 or 4 weeks. They've had some really big losses, got blown out by Kansas. They've lost to a couple other teams that have had much less explosive offenses than what this Oklahoma team does. You know, Dylan Gabriel's probably been a top 10 quarterback in college football this year. He's been really good. And you know, UCF's their offense it relies a lot on their run game, and I think OU defensively is a lot weaker against the pass. Obviously, OU's defense, their linebackers, especially, you know, do you think of Danny Sussman, another guy that's great against the run. Um, I just think this seems like it's going to be a nice, easy cover for Oklahoma here with the 17 and a half. They're just a better team on both sides of the ball, in my opinion. And after a big win against Texas, some may think this could be a drop-off game. I think it's a continue to make a statement game, as Oklahoma's still kind of on the outside looking in the overall college football playoff picture. You got to keep taking care of business. They know that. You know, they do this every single year. I expect them to have a nice, easy cover here and a pretty big blowout. Next, we're going to go with Memphis minus 6.5. They're playing UAB. UAB's burned me before. I took South Florida against them. It didn't seem to work out, but I'm going to take Memphis here with a less than touchdown spread. The Memphis team total is over 34.5. I think that says mostly what we need to know about this game, and that's that they don't think the UAB defense is going to have an answer for the Memphis offense, and I agree with that. UAB's defense is statistically one of the worst defenses in the entire country. Uh, Memphis's offense has been pretty good over the past few weeks. They did lose last week to Tulane, who is now ranked, but you know Memphis had two interceptions in that game, which really slowed down their offense. UAB's defense not nearly as good as what we saw from Tulane's. Memphis is going to look for a nice, easy rebound here. UAB should be a gimme game, and I think they'll cover that touchdown spread. Moving on to another big game of this weekend, I'm actually going to be taking the Volunteers of Tennessee to cover the spread against the Alabama Crimson Tide at plus 8.5. Um, man, I really want to take the money line on this one, but I'll take the spread. 8.5 points, pretty big spread there for a game of this magnitude. Usually you see it, you know, less than a score, and this one I have it at above a touchdown there. But you know, obviously Rocky Top was singing last year when Tennessee upset Alabama. I think there's the chance to have it happen again. When I look at Alabama, I see a really poor O line play and not great quarterbacking. And then you look at Tennessee's defense. You know, guys like James Pierce, he has 6 sacks on the year. Tyler Barron has 5 sacks on the year. On the counter side of that, Alabama's offensive line has allowed 31 sacks this season. I just think they're going to be in trouble. They're not going to be able to generate a lot of offense. Uh, Especially if Jalen Milrow doesn't really have time to, you know, make plays. For whatever reason, this Alabama team is not what we're used to from them. Usually, when you think about Alabama, you think of a good offensive line, a good defensive line, and I don't know if I feel the same way about this year's Alabama team, especially on the offensive line. Tennessee's running game's the main priority of attack for them. You'll see Joe Milton get out of the pocket, run a little bit. Their running backs will be heavily evolved. And Bama hasn't really had a game this season where they're going against a team that wants to run the ball first. You know, a lot of these games, teams have been trying to pass on Alabama. But I think this Alabama team has shown signs that they can have the ball ran on them. USF actually had 177 rushing yards on them. Um, you know, I think that this Tennessee team, they're very physical up front. Uh, they know how to run the football. They know how to get to the quarterback. An 8.5 spread should be pretty easy to pick up here, and I wouldn't be shocked if they're able to pull the upset either, as it seems like Nick Saban's time as the best coach in college football is over. And then my last one for this weekend is going to be Michigan minus 24. Uh, there's a couple rumors, scandals swirling out there that Michigan may have a Spygate situation going on. It doesn't look like it's going to have any suspensions or game cancellations coming up here before tomorrow's game. And I like Michigan to cover against Michigan State minus 24 here. You look at Michigan State, obviously they had the huge issue with Mel Tucker. He resigned slash got fired slash couldn't stop being horny. And as a result, Michigan State's really been in a bad spot for most of the season. They haven't been able to find any consistency. They haven't had great coaching. I'm not sure the players are very bought in. And Jim Harbaugh is not going to let his team that's wanting to win a national championship this year not cover against a rival. Michigan 20 minus 24. A lot of these teams in the Big Ten know what the spread is and they're looking to cover it. We've seen that a lot with James Franklin at Penn State, and I think Harbaugh is going to be another one of those guys that's looking to cover because that always makes a statement when you can get a big win like that. So those were my college football plays. Now moving on for my NFL plays. Um, First of which is going to be the Buffalo Bills minus 8.5. Third straight week that I've taken the Bills. 0-2 the past 2 weeks. I'm hoping that they change that this week, but I'm going to continue my mantra of fading the Patriots. The Bills, like I said, they've looked like shit the past 2 weeks, but the Patriots are a lot worse team than the Giants are somehow, some way. I know that the Bills looked bad on Sunday Night Football, but they still got to win. They'll find a way to beat the Patriots here. They have a lot more a grudge against the Patriots. Obviously, when Brady was there, he beat up on the Bills for so many years. These Bills fans are sick of New England. They're sick of Bill Belichick. They're looking to come in here. Josh Allen's had 2 bad games. He's not the type of quarterback to have 3 bad games. Uh, Christian Gonzalez is one of the best corners for the Patriots. He's out this for the season, I believe it is, but he's definitely out this week. Meaning they're going to have troubles locking up Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis. Um, like I said, I'm going to continue to fade the Patriots every single week. I think they are the worst team in the NFL, and so with that said, we are going to take the Bills minus 8.5. Um, Another team that we're going to be fading this week is going to be the New York Giants, and as a result, we'll be taking the Commanders -3. Um, I think there are probably some college football teams this year that have a better offensive line than the New York Giants do this season. I mean, they have guys that are the third stringers that are getting hurt in practice. Last week, they had Justin Pugh come off the couch, ended up having to play left tackle, which is a position he's never really played before. Um, they just can't do anything on that offensive line to make plays develop. The running game is getting swallowed very quickly. In the passing game, the quarterback's having a second at most before pressure's coming in. And you look at the Commanders, I mean, their defensive line is stacked. You have Montez Sweat, Chase Young, Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen. I mean, they've gotten some of the highest praises you can get as a defensive line. You hear guys like Jason Kelsey on that very, very talented Eagles offensive line talk about the struggles they have going up against that Commanders D line. Um, there's just no possible way here that this Commanders defense does not absolutely eat the Giants alive. I know the Commanders offense can be a little bit stagnant at times, but I think the defense is going to probably score here. They'll definitely get the offense in good field position. I think the Commanders defense is a must start in fantasy if they're out there for you to pick up. They'll have 5 or 6 sacks. They'll force a fumble. Good things are going to come for this Commanders team. We'll take them -3, and we'd feel really comfortable with them. And if you're in a Survivor League still, Commanders seems like a great pick. I just can't say enough how confident I am in the Commanders -3 in this game, and I'd be very flabbergasted, floored, and shocked if this one doesn't hit. The next game we have here on our slate is going to be the Detroit Lions money line plus 135. They are on the road against the Baltimore Ravens. I'm a little bit surprised by this line. The Lions have a lot of momentum on their side right now. They also have a lot of hype on their side right now. People really like the Lions. I'm going to guess they think this might be a little bit of a slowdown game for the Lions due to David Montgomery being out. However, it looks like Jahmyr Gibbs and Craig Reynolds will still be in, which means I trust that Lions offense enough to continue to do what it's been doing the past couple games. You look at Jared Goff, he's done a great job of distributing the ball to guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown as well as Sam Laporta, never really staring down those targets. And when you look at the Lions, they have the best rushing defense in the league. They've only allowed 64 yards per game. The Ravens offense, I don't think I have to tell you this, but we all know the Ravens love to run the football. Lamar Jackson's a better runner than a passer. They look to do some option things, some triple option things. Um, it's going to be a real tough go for them going up against this Lions defense. Obviously, Dan Campbell loves to coach a very physical team. That's why this defense is so good. Aiden Hutchinson, one of the best defensive ends this season so far. He's either first and second in terms of pressures on the year. The Ravens offense is going to have to find a way to score more than 24 points to win this game. And I think that's a big ask for them this week, especially as the Lions have scored more than 20 points, and I believe it was 15 straight games going back to last season. Uh, I just think the Lions here are a great value. I'm surprised they're the underdog. We're definitely going to take them plus 135. And then the last game we have for that slate is going to be the Rams -3. I think the Rams are a team that are a little bit more sneaky than people realize. They're 3-3 on the year. They're a lot better than that. They play the Steelers this week. Um, Kyron Williams, the main running back for the Rams, is out this week. He's not going to play. He's got an ankle sprain. He's going to miss a few weeks. But I think that's going to benefit the Rams in this specific matchup. Heavy doses of guys like Cooper Cup and Puka Nakua on a lot of short slants, 5 yard curls, some hitches, some digs, stuff like that. Just really quick hitters to get the ball out to negate the pass rush of the Steelers, and I think they'll be fine when the Steelers' defensive line isn't generating those pressures and those sacks, the passing defense isn't as good as you'd think. A lot of their ability to get a win on plays in passing situations comes from the D line more than the secondary here. Stafford's been playing well this year. He doesn't look hurt like he did last year. Obviously, when you have McVay, you have an absolute offensive mastermind. He's got great schemes all over the place. I think the Rams will get this one done as the Steelers will continue to try to figure out what's been best for them. Uh, they have shown very small steps of progress each and every week on offense. However, a lot of Steelers fans still want the offensive coordinator Matt Canada fired. I like that the connection I've seen developing the past couple of weeks between Kenny Pickett and George Pickens. That's something that's going to need to be prioritized in this offense for it to improve. But I'll still have the Rams -3 in this. For this weekend. So to recap my picks for football this weekend in college football, we like Ohio State -4.5 against Penn State. We like Oklahoma -17.5 against UCF. We like Memphis -6.5 against UAB. We like Tennessee +8.5 against Alabama, and we like Michigan -24 against Michigan State. For the NFL, we like Bills -8.5 against the Patriots. Commanders -3 against the Giants. Lions money line +135 against the Ravens, and the Rams -3 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Um, so then moving on, also tomorrow is UFC 294, an absolute huge event taking place in Abu Dhabi. I'm very bummed as since it is an Abu Dhabi card, it's going to be in the afternoon at the same time as a lot of college football, including the college football game that I will be at, the Nebraska Northwestern game. Um, that's an interesting one. Nebraska, about 12-point favorites. You've never really seen them be that big of a favorite in a long time, but Northwestern, kind of a bad program. So anyway, these will be my personal picks for this weekend. My three big tickets that I have. First is just going to be Tim Elliott money line at +310. No props, no stipulations on that one. Just straight up Tim Elliott. He's going up against the Muhammad Makayev, probably the guy with the most hype in the flyweight division in terms of an up and coming prospect. However, last fight he was trapped in a very devastating knee bar, and it resulted in a partially torn MCL, a grade 2 tear. Going into that fight, he also had a shoulder injury that was supposedly so bad that he couldn't put on a shirt without help. Um, it takes some time to come back from a knee injury like that. This fight was in March, so obviously it's been 7 or so months since then. But I just still, yeah, between the rest time, the time getting back in the gym, refinding your feet, um, there's still going to be that hesitancy there, that little wrist. You got to be careful. You don't want to tweak it wrong in the cage. And when you're going up against a guy like Tim Elliott, that's been in the UFC for such a long time. I mean, he's a guy that's won tough. He's had a title fight against Demetrius Johnson, in which he had flashes of showing signs in that fight. He's probably one of the most veteran guys we have in this entire division versus a guy that's still super young. Makayev could lose this fight and still go on to be a champion eventually. He's that young and that new into his UFC career. But I think Elliott's just a guy that, for the value, knowing he's going against a younger guy that's coming in injured or at least off an injury, I like what Elliott can provide us. Not only that, for those that don't know, Tim Elliott has had a tough year. He found out that his wife, Gina Carano, ended up sleeping with his best man, Kevin Kroom, the night of their wedding. Yeah, crazy, isn't it? Tim Elliott is not a drinker. He does not like alcohol. So the night of the wedding, he took their daughter back to the hotel to take care of her and to stay away from the alcohol. And his best man and wife hooked up that night. Uh, that's absolutely crazy. I feel bad for him. If I was in a situation like his, I'd probably kill myself, honestly. I don't know how I'd be able to tolerate that. But he seems to have taken it pretty well. He's actually sponsoring a bare knuckle fighter. I believe his name was Tim Soto. He fights Kevin Kroom, the best man, in bare knuckle FC coming up here. So yeah, he's sponsoring the guy that's facing the man that took his wife. I think he's motivated. I think he's angry, and I think we'll see that anger in the octagon. And then the next one I have here, I think they're both similar plays, but they're two separate ones I want you to take both of. The first is it's a combo that's KHAMZAT to win and under 1.5 rounds at plus 120. And I also have Usman slash KHAMZAT ends in a round one sub plus 400. You can put the no, you can figure it out there that I think that Usman has no shot in this fight. I think his knees are shot. There's been the whole scandal. I don't know if maybe scandal's not quite the word to use, but knee gate, popped gate, social media gate, whatever you want to call it. A video came out of an open training with him and Justin Gaethje. He takes down Gaethje. Gaethje immediately goes, "Are you all right?" And Usman appears to say, "Bro, something popped." The story's been ran back a little bit. They are saying that Usman said he's going to go see Cosmo, who was the guy holding the gloves for some sparring. Um, I don't personally buy into that. I think they've been trying to run it back so much that it almost makes the injury a fact. If that wasn't going on, I don't think they'd be so adamant about trying to deny it. Usman having bad knees has been something that's been known for a long time now. Joe Rogan likes to claim that Usman's knees are so bad he can't even go down the stairs correctly. He has to go down the stairs backwards. That seems like typical Joe Rogan bullshit, but I just wanted to bring it up. Um, and you look at that Usman, he has not had a 3 round fight since 2018, and most of his 5 round fights have gone to decision. He's not necessarily a fast starter. He likes to take times to process things and get things done in the decision. I think Kamzat's really going to come out aggressive and early, looking for that weakness in the knees, knowing Kamaru Usman's a little bit of a slow starter. I just think Usman's going to come out, shoot early, get a takedown. Usman's never had to really work off his back much. I don't really know what his submission defense is like, but I just don't think he's stronger than Kamzat either. So I think that this will definitely have a chance to end early and quick there. So like I said, we're looking at Kamzat to win and under 1.5 rounds at plus 120, and Usman slash Kamzat ends with a round one sub plus 400. Both of those plays are available on DraftKings. And then my last big ticket that I have is going to be Islam Makayev to win by KO slash sub slash disqualification at plus 140. Recently, I rewatched the first fight between Volkanovski and Islam, and I kind of realized, I put that fight on mute. I didn't want any distractions. I didn't want the commentary swaying any of my opinions. And Islam won that fight 4 rounds to 1. The only round Volkanovski took was round 5, in which he got a knockdown. But Islam got a knockdown on Volkan round 1, and then he controlled him on the ground for most of rounds 2, 3, and 4. You can say that Volkanovski was in no real danger of getting subbed out in any of those situations, but that doesn't change the fact that Islam had the advantageous positions, having taken Volk's back. Um, I don't think I'd make this play if this fight was happening on regular training, regular notice, but Volk coming in short notice, I think favors Islam to get a finish in this fight. I don't really know what Volkanovski was training, if he was training. I know he's a little bit banged up. I think he had an elbow issue as well as a hand issue. Those should be good now, but he's probably going to be a little bit rusty, not quite as sharp as we think of a typical Volkanovski fight. And I don't know. I think it'll be interesting. He was, I believe, probably assuming his next fight would have been against Ilia Topuria. There is some similarities between Makhachev and Topuria. However, Makhachev's striking is a little bit more funky compared to Topuria's, which is a little bit more standard but aggressive. So I wouldn't be shocked to see Volk maybe get caught by something he wasn't expecting, just because he's looking for more traditional, down the middle punches, straights and jabs. You see that a lot from Topuria due to his power. Those jabs can do a lot. Meanwhile, Islam's kind of got some funky hooks. They come from weird angles. He throws a lot of good kicks as well. I just think Islam's going to end up getting a finish here, uh, mainly just due to the short notice aspect of the fight. And then I have an 8 leg parlay that I'm going to throw out as well. Um, I don't have a ton of analysis on it. More, this is really my thought process on it. When the UFC likes to go on these international ventures for pay-per-views, we've seen it in London, we've seen it in Australia, here in Abu Dhabi. They like to try to get some of these local guys some favorable matchups to take, to make the crowd happy. They want to see the hometown guy win. So I have an 8 leg parlay of mostly hometown guys that I think has a great chance of hitting, and I think it's going to pay out very, very well for you guys. It's going to be Magomedov in the first fight, Dudakova for the women, Aitsar against Dumas, Sedner Magomedov on the main card, Iskram Aliskerov against Warley Alves, Magomed Ankalaev against Johnny Walker, Kamzat Chimaev, and then Islam Makayev. That 8 legs comes out to a total of plus 1819. That is plus 1,819. That's great return on this. I mean, you look at this, I think there's a lot of legs that are just absolute gimmies. I think Magomedov in the first fight against Bruno Silva seems to be a give me. Silva, I believe, is stepping up on short notice. He's been cracked pretty hard the last couple fights. Um, Magomed's a pretty interesting prospect. He has like a weird eye condition going on, and he's like beat up people in public. Like he is a nutcase, and I think that benefits him in this fight. Dudakova is one of the best plays on this entire card. They just absolutely gave her a layup. I look at Itzar. He's a dog. I just am not a big fan of Dumas. I think he's is very average at best. And then you look at the guys on the main card. All those 5 guys were just put out there to get wins. Obviously, the last 2 fights are big exceptions. I just think it plays out significantly in their favor. But Ankalaev over Johnny Walker should be an absolute gimme. And then, Aliskerov over Warley Alves. Alves is coming in on short notice. I believe this is up a weight class for him as well. He's usually a welterweight, now fighting a middleweight fight here. Um, I just think that it looks like those are the guys that are going to get it done there. But those were my picks for UFC. Recapping one more time, I have a straight Tim Elliott money line plus 310. Khamzat Chimaev to win and under 1.5 rounds at plus 120, as well as the Usman Khamzat fight to end with a round 1 sub plus 400. I have Islam Makayev to win by KO slash sub slash disqualification at plus 140. And then my 8 leg parlay of Islam Makayev, Khamzat Chimaev, Magomed Ankalaev, Ikram Aliskerov, Sedner Magomedov, Azatar, Dudakova, and Sherpov Magomedov. So those are my plays for this weekend. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's video and you ride some of those. Let me know which plays you like the best. Let me know where you think I maybe am going a little bit wrong here. I'd love to know your guys' thoughts on this upcoming UFC pay-per-view. I'm super pumped. I'm probably going to be deleting most of the social media off my phone and trying to turn off my text app so I can have no spoilers and come home after the Nebraska game and start watching that. Um, I just can't wait for all that. So I hope you guys leave a like on this video, drop a comment below. Please subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, share it with your enemies, share it with your family, share it with your degenerate gambling friends. Uh, Sometime here in the next couple days, I'm looking to have a standalone NBA video drop previewing this upcoming season, giving my thoughts on some teams I like, teams I don't like, maybe some MVP candidates that we could discuss, rookie of the year, stuff like that. So I hope you guys remember, stay blessed and have a great weekend. I'm out of here.